How to get kids to eat veggies. Eating healthy food. That's one of the myriad of things that parents want to get their kids to do. But how is it done? I'm going to share with you a model that every parent needs to understand, and then some specific steps that you can take to get them eating those veggies. And before I share the actual model, you need to know where this is coming from. As a professional psychologist, I have now 3 decades of clinical experience working with children, teenagers, parents, families, and this model came early in my career as I was helping with a juvenile delinquency program for the court. We came up with the model to help these families, and I've found that it is so useful for all parents. Here's what it comes down to. We share control with our kids. Have you noticed? If you haven't noticed yet, they'll let you know, especially by the time that they're teenagers. When our kids are first born, like it shows on this graph, early on in the maturing process, there's not much control. By the time we reach adulthood, we have most, if not all, of the control over our own life. So this diagonal line represents the increase of control as we become more mature. You'll also know that the control under the line is the part you get for yourself. The part over the line is the part others take. So parents, heads up. You are the others that get to take control in your children's life. Because if it's not you and it's not them, then it's the state. That's the lineup for the control. Self, parents, state. This is why I shared that background with you, that this model came from working in the juvenile court system where the state was actually taking control because the parents and the kids didn't have it. So keep that in mind somewhere. Now, maturity is how grown up you are, but it's not just about age. It's about stage. So you'll see on this slide that I've divided this diagonal line into 3 separate stages. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. And let's talk about what each of those stages are, just briefly. Stage 1 is the least mature stage. This is where kids are when they're first born, but it's about stage, not age. So even older kids could be on Stage 1. At Stage 1, we are selfish. We fight to get what we want. It's manipulative. It's demanding. Does this sound familiar to you? That's Stage 1. Now, this is typical for a 2-year-old, but if our 17-year-old is doing that, it causes some predictable issues. Let's move on to Stage 2. Stage 2 is all about cooperation. It's about compliance with reasonable requests. At Stage 2, you don't want any trouble. You just want to keep the peace. So you're going to go along with reasonable requests. And you will work with people to get a win-win solution. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. This is more of Stage 2. In Stage 3, this is the most mature of the 3 stages. Okay, this is where the most internal control happens. And Stage 3 is based on morals and principles and values. At Stage 3, we're responsible. We show initiative. We have empathy for other people. So you can see this is much more mature. As parents, we use different interventions depending on what stage our kids are on. Now don't worry about taking all the notes on this model. I know I've gone through it fairly quickly, but I'm going to give you a free copy of this, a free color PDF with a little description. Just go to the URL that's on the screen, drpauljenkins.com/stages. Go get it so that you'll have this as a reference as we talk about the ways that you can implement this model when it comes to getting your kids to eat their veggies. Before I share with you the specific strategy that we're going to use to apply this model, let's review what your job is as a parent. What's your job as a parent? If you've watched some of the other videos on this channel and you've heard me say this before, say it out loud right now or put it in the comments. What's your job as a parent? It's to love them no matter what. and even if. It is not, I repeat, not your job to get them to eat their veggies, to make sure that they do their homework, to make sure that they grow up to be good, responsible citizens. No, you're gonna do those things, and the strategies I'll share with you will help with that, but that's not your job, because you don't control that. Your job is to love them, no matter what and even if. If you'll remember that, then you can apply some of the strategies that we teach here on the channel and in all of our coaching programs to get some different outcomes. But if you ever lose sight of your job to love them, then everything else I share with you is simply manipulation. So the best way to apply this model, I'm going to share with you the 2 choices strategy. Here's what it looks like. Give your child 2 choices. Can we narrow it down to 2? And the criteria look like this. You, as a parent, are okay with either one. This puts you in a great position where you can be detached from the outcomes. And really, somebody has to be attached to the outcome. If it's you, it's not your child. So you're going to give 2 choices. You're okay with either one. One of those choices becomes default, and you control the consequences for that particular choice. Okay, so let's use eating the veggies as an example. You don't control whether your kid eats the veggies or not. One thing that they control is what they eat, all right? You control what you provide. Oh, that's good to remember. So let's use the 2 choices strategy with the example of getting your kids to eat their veggies. Okay, so we're gonna give them 2 choices. It's gonna look like this. Would you, here's one choice, like to eat your veggies and then your dessert? Or would you rather skip both tonight? All right, now you have to be okay with both of these choices, because if you're attached to one or the other, guess which one your kid's gonna pick? The other. Would you like to eat your veggies and then your dessert? Or would you rather skip both tonight? Now, which one do you control the consequence for? The second one, right? That becomes default, because they're like, I don't like my choices. Yeah, they don't have to like their choices, but those are the choices, because if they choose this, then they're gonna skip both. And how can you tell? Well, you can tell by whether they eat their veggies or not. Here's what will make this effective. Honor their choice. Because if they're like, I don't want to eat my veggies, then you're like, okay, that's totally fine. I'm good with that. But I want my dessert. I know. And these are your choices. Because if they skip the veggies, they skip the dessert too. Do you see how simple that is? Now, simple and easy aren't the same thing, because if you get really attached and worked up and angry, you'll probably default to the 3 R's of parenting: rant, rave, and rescue, where you bawl them out and then bail them out. And that just teaches them what? Not to eat their veggies. No, it teaches them how to manipulate their parents, and that's when you run into trouble. Okay, so remain calm. In fact, I'm going to encourage you to keep a calm voice, a calm face, and a calm body. This is what shows that you're detached from the outcomes and you are going to honor their choice. Part of honoring the choice means that you let the consequences and empathy do the teaching. Empathy has 2 important characteristics, and that's on stage 3, by the way, in our model. It's that you understand and care how someone else feels. Don't go to the 3 R's of parenting: rant, rave, and rescue. Don't bawl them out and bail them out. Let the consequence fall and then use empathy. This is hard for you, isn't it? I can tell that this is hard, and you be sincere about that. Okay? We're not contriving this. We're not mocking them. We're not, well, if you do what I say, then these things wouldn't happen. No, none of the lectures, empathy, because that's what does the teaching. And you'll have other opportunities to practice again in the future. And then you rinse and repeat, okay? Because I guarantee that this is going to come up again. If you will be consistent with it, you're going to see some different outcomes. Now remember to grab that model. I've got it all ready to deliver to your inbox. drpauljenkins.com/stages, and I'll give it right to you.